Good morning. This is going to be a quick forecast here. There's really not a whole lot to talk about with the current weather patterns. I was actually expecting last week that we were going to have a significant Arctic weather outbreak. However, that models appear to indicate that that high is actually going to be a lot weaker than expected. So this is looking like another fairly uneventful week, which I'm sure you all appreciate. So starting here on the 500 millibar map, we can see a general trough pattern here and kind of another trough with an embedded shortwave right here. Notice that there's not really any effects over us right now, so that's really gonna just mild weather overall. So you do watch as this shortwave trough does move through. This will bring possibly severe storms and certainly stormy weather in general. Depending on how much Arctic air it takes on, could be a significant snowstorm, but obviously far south of us, so it's not going to impact us whatsoever, so you don't have to worry about that. And just generally, overall, the pattern is just very quiet. You have, again, another troughing pattern here, a very positively tilted trough here, so just a very weak trough. So when I mean positively tilted, going like this would be like negative, this would be like positive, this is like neutral. So when it's going like this, notice how the wind comes out in a zonal flow pattern. That, because the general wind direction is west to east, that's actually going to negate a lot of the divergence associated with this area. And you'll notice that most of the higher winds is on the western side, which is your converging area. So you actually have stronger converging air, aka more high pressure, and then on the other side, much weaker diverging air. So just a very stable pattern. So that's Tuesday, but obviously not going to affect us. That's southeast. Still, nothing really affecting us at this point. I mean, it looks like a lot of chaos, but overall, no major patterns. You do see a little bit of a shortwave ridge move through, but that'll only possibly give us some clearer weather. Just overall, very quiet. On transitioning from Thursday to Friday, you see a little bit of troughing happen. So that could cause maybe a little bit of snow associated with that transition. And then Saturday, you see maybe no, it's still very zonal flow. And then going into Sunday, again, just very quiet weather pattern. There's just a very large area of zonal flow to the south, and I mean you have a little bit which will impact the northwest, but for us, very calm weather patterns, and that's going to probably continue into next week. Temperatures. So the big headline was this right here, this Arctic high situated in North Dakota. We actually thought that it was going to be a bit more south and maintain its air mass, but what you'll watch is as it moves south over South Dakota. So now it's like here. You'll notice that it actually absorbs a lot of the characteristics of the surrounding air mass, which is going to really warm the temperatures. So even through Wednesday, still it'll be cold, but not as cold as we were thinking it's going to be. Then warm air advection on Thursday is going to warm temperatures up again, and then maybe another Arctic blast Saturday and into Sunday, but overall just very quiet. I did want to bring up the European model because it does show mostly the same idea, but it does show it going a little bit farther south and maybe a little bit more pronounced colder temperatures. Still only maybe getting down to -20 with this event, but yeah, just very weak Arctic high throughout this next week here. Yeah, there's really nothing to be said there. Another thing that should be noted is very dry air. If you're like me, very sensitive to dry air, yeah, this next week's not going to be great for you. Dew points in the negative teens, so just very dry air. Still extremely dry air through Wednesday. Thursday, you do get a little bit of relief with some of that warm air advection from the south, but still just very dry air overall. And then back to dry air on Friday, dry air on Saturday and Sunday. So just dry air throughout most of the week except for Thursday. So yeah, it's not going to be a very nice week for that. Snowfall, again, with that dry air, you can imagine that we're not going to get any snow. You might get a couple of flurries with that trough moving over probably Thursday, but overall, you're probably not going to see anything except for maybe a little bit due to isentropic lifting at times. So maybe you'll see a couple flurries, but throughout the week. But overall, there's not going to be very much. Going into your local forecast, so this is going to be for Rose City. Notice that we start the week with highs. This is probably more like a high at like 9 degrees Fahrenheit. So fairly cold, and then Monday, maybe high to like 12, I would say, getting down to 3.4. And then Tuesday, your high is going to be about 17, low of maybe 5 degrees. And then Wednesday, high, probably a low of 4 with a high of 21. Thursday, low of 14, high of 27. Friday gets down to about 13.3 and then gets up to about 19 degrees Fahrenheit. Saturday gets down to 8 degrees Fahrenheit, rising up to 16 degrees Fahrenheit earlier that day. And then finally Sunday, you see the temperature go down to 4 degrees, then climbing to 15.3. Throughout the week, again, the only possibility for snow is likely associated with that shortwave trough moving through. So maybe 0.17, could even be less, maybe a little bit more. It's not going to be significant. Don't worry about it. Wind profiles, it's going to be fairly variable this week because we have constant switches between Arctic highs and warm air advection from the south. You're going to see a lot of wind shifts this week and a lot of variability in wind speed. So you see it going up to 26, down to 17, up again. So yeah, just keep that in mind as well. Then of course, moving to Morris, Minnesota, a lot of the same trends, just maybe a little bit warmer. So like -2 for a low today, getting up to 8 degrees on Sunday. So today, 1.4 degrees Fahrenheit on Monday, maybe getting up to 12. And then Tuesday, 9.3 degrees, getting up to about 16. Wednesday, little bit warmer, starting out at 6 degrees, but then quickly getting up to 24 degrees Fahrenheit. Thursday, that warm trend continues with a high of 18, getting all the way up to 32. Friday, low 14.7, getting all the way up to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Saturday cools down a little bit with a low of 7.5 degrees Fahrenheit with a high of 15. Finally, next Sunday, we have a low of 3.4 degrees Fahrenheit with a high of 13.8. So overall, just colder week, but just very, very quiet. There's nothing really going on. Yeah, you see with that shortwave trough, little bit of snow Thursday, but again, it's not going to be much. I would not worry about it. Again, very variable wind throughout the week. So like Sunday, elevated winds, Wednesday, elevated winds, and then maybe Thursday night, elevated winds. But yeah, just very quiet. That's kind of been the story of this winter, is just very quiet. Because there's just nothing really going on in our area. Were you down south right here, you would see likely a major storm system move through, but that's just not north enough for that to matter. So it's just very quiet circulation. So I think this is going to be my shortest video, and that, yeah, it's just cold but quiet is my synopsis for this next week. Uh, if you have any questions on this forecast, let me know. You can always put it in the comments. This week I will be in Iowa, so I don't know how much time I'll be able to have to answer questions, but I'll do my best. This has been Quentin Hafner with your local regional forecasts over Minnesota, and peace out.